Hello, everyone. You have entered the battle phase. It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard, and I am bluer than sad. Joining me as always is the boys. He is mistier than gray, Gamma.
Hello.
And he is greener than cash, Sacro.
Why green?
Cash is green.
No, but why green for me?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, the smart idea would have been to call Gamma green because that's the color of his avatar, but I'm
Mine's
not looking
purple.
at either of... Yeah, I know, but like more purple than what? Also, purpler sounds wrong.
Purpler sounds great. What do you mean?
He is purpler than Jello. Sacro?
I've never had purple Jello, but I'll take it.
Is there such a thing as purple Jello? Now I don't even know.
I mean, you can food color any Jello, but
you could also
true.
say he's purpler than ube ice cream. There you go.
Ube ice cream. Yeah.
ooh, I like ube ice cream. Okay. Gamma's
Ube is
cooking.
delicious, man. Yeah, like ube in anything is just super
I love
good. Like,
taro too.
Oh,
Taro and ube are my
taro, yes.
favorite. Yeah, they're so
Gosh.
good.
we have like an ice cream, like a Korean ice cream spot here in the city called Somi Somi. And they do like the what they call the abung, which is basically like you have like your ice cream with like a taiyaki on it, and the taiyaki has filling. You know, usually it's like Nutella or like the red bean paste. But like the flavors always include like ube and taro and just like, you know, Asian things. And I'm just like, these are delicious. Oh my gosh. Like every single time I'm like, I need to get me like a taro ice cream with like a taiyaki with Nutella and like, I don't know, cocoa pebbles on it or something.
I do a lot of taro, what's it called? Bobas. Like pretty much not every week, but like a couple times a month I'll get a taro boba. It's pretty good.
No, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
And mochi donuts too.
I've never heard of mochi donuts. But
You've
those
never
sound
had a mochi
delicious,
donut? Dude, you got there's definitely a place near you. Just look it up.
too. There has to be. My cat's name is Mochi.
You do have a cute cat.
Sometimes she curls up into a donut.
Oh man,
All
no,
those loaves.
no, don't go that route.
Eat the cat. But no, she's gotten really moody as of late because, you know, ever since we got the new puppy. And I feel like there's a bunch of different factors to contribute here because, you know, firstly, we had her fixed. And before we had her fixed, she was super friendly, super sweet, the best cat in the universe. We had her fixed, and then afterwards, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, hey, listen, she can undo her sutures really easy. She could like tear open her wound, and that's bad news. So you're gonna need to kind of like isolate her. But the problem is that she's such a high energy cat that the only way we could do that is to basically like empty out a closet and then just basically like make it as comfortable as possible. Like, all right, Mochi, you're in the closet now, and you're gonna be for 2 weeks until you heal. Ooh. So imagine, you know, like, because she's the kind of cat that loves to climb on stuff, you know, like she likes to go up high. She likes to jump on the table, on counters and stuff. I'm like, okay, she is going to tear open those wounds so fast. So I was like, okay, so she's been fixed. She has, she's in a closet for 2 weeks. And like her best friend, which was my Rottweiler, died. So it's like she comes out of the closet. The Rottweiler's not there anymore. She was taken to a doctor and left there for a couple of hours, which she didn't like, and then she was isolated for 2 weeks. And then like about a couple of weeks later, we get a new puppy, and she's like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm unfriendly now. I'm unfriendly Mochi. I bite and I'm angry." And I'm like, "Okay, well,
yeah, isolating cats will lead to that. That's a big thing actually. Cats have to be around things and people all the time." Or something.
I mean, like, we would go in there all the time. I mean, like, I would take my Nintendo Switch and go in the closet and just hang out with her, you know? So it's not like she was alone, but, you know, like, yeah, but, like, she I don't know, she missed, like, 2 weeks of socialization with everything that she loves. So, yeah.
Well,
anyway.
She gets better.
Yeah, hopefully. But before we get started, please remember to follow us on our socials. You can find us at The Battle Phase on X. And also, you can find us on our YouTube channel, Gamers Playing Games TV, where recently we've decided that we're going to play every game on Steam. We've already played a few of them, videos pending. but also Halloween is right now, so you should be this episode will probably air after Halloween, so you should be able to catch our Spooky Month episodes, which include our playthrough of what's the name of the one, Five Nights at Freddy's, which is gonna be so much fun. There's a special part towards the end of that one where something happens and me and Sacro think on our feet. Super fun. It was just like, I was very proud of that. I was like, this is great. I love this. But other than that, you guys got any other plugs you wanna give?
Nothing now.
Well, I'm just editing a couple stories. I'm hoping to have one by Halloween since it's vampire related.
Super excited to hear your stories when they come out. Also super excited to hear like Sacro's upcoming content on the Pokemon leaks.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be wild. Yeah,
That's going to be a wild ride, dude.
I'm already regretting it, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. So in case you guys can't tell from our opening introductions, today we're talking about Darker Than Black. It's an anime from like 2007, which debuted here in the States roughly around 2010, about 3 years later. And it is a trip, man. Like, because we've talked about this like off camera, but like this is an anime that you can't watch anywhere almost. It's unstreamable. So we got lucky that Sacro owned a copy, so we watched it with him.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. And I have thoughts on this, but before we get into that, we want to say spoiler alert for the entire plot of season 1 of Darker Than Black, an anime that came out in the neighborhood of like almost 20 years ago at this point. If you guys haven't seen it, I mean, what are you doing?
I'm probably going to talk about season 2 a little bit too.
And Sacro's going to talk about season 2 a little bit. So yeah. Get on that. Go watch Darker Than Black. And if I can just say one thing to get you started, to see if I can whet you guys' appetite regarding Darker Than Black just a tiny bit, it's from one of the people who worked on Cowboy Bebop.
Oh.
One of the storyboarders. Yeah, so he decided, hey, you know what? I want to make my own thing. And this was his brain baby. It's fantastic. His name specifically was Tensai Okamura. So, yeah, we're going to get into that a little bit later. But since this was Sacro's recommendation, Sacro, take it away.
All right. So, Darker Than Black. There is no Japanese name. The guy just thought Darker Than Black sounded cool in the English. So, he's like, that's
really
it.
Does, though.
So, that was his name. That's his reason for calling it Darker Than Black. It has no purpose beyond, he just thought these English words sounded cool together. So
I don't know, because I'm wrong. I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now. I was like, wait, there's a Japanese title
Which
here, and
is
then I
the same.
realized that the Japanese title is Daka Zanbraku, and I'm like, oh,
yeah. So it's just Darker Than Black. It does have a subtitle to it sometimes, but most of the time people just ignore that and just call it Darker Than Black. They separate it into 3 different season generation names. So it's Darker Than Black. The first season, I think it's just called the Black Contractor.
Yeah.
Then there is Darker Than Black, Gaiden. And then there's Darker Than Black, the one with the meteor. I can't remember. Gemini of the Meteor.
Gemini of the Meteor.
Yeah, that's what it is. And we're not going to talk about season 2. I will talk about Gemini, or I'll talk about some stuff from it because there's some stuff that I thought was cool on a rewatch. But we're just going to talk about season 1, the Black Contractor.
Did you watch like the whole thing over again in order for this episode, like all like the first season, the OVA and the season 2?
I didn't read the manga that took place in between season 1 and the OVA, so I do not remember what happens in that or the characters, but I remember it being just as good as season 1, but did not fix season 2.
Okay.
That's all you need to know about it.
Righto. So basically, to start off the way that we normally do by giving like a synopsis of the story, and then I'll throw it back to you. Darker Than Black takes place in modern day Japan, it seems. However, and you'll have to remind me about this. Was it 10 years ago there was a cataclysm that occurred in the world?
Yeah. Well, 10 years from the start of the the actual show. So
Right. So 10 years from the setting of this world. The 10 years ago from the setting of this world, there was two what they call gates that appeared, one in Japan and one in South America.
Yeah, it doesn't say
Right.
where exactly. Or maybe it does.
So,
I just don't remember.
Oh,
so Heaven's Gate, and you know what, we were talking about Brazil a little earlier.
It's Brazil for sure, yeah.
It's Brazil. So Heaven's Gate in South America and Hell's Gate in Japan. At around the same time, humans with superpowers start to appear called contractors. And contractors have a wide range of different things that they can do. And interestingly, their powers come with a cost. Whenever a contractor uses their power, they usually have to fulfill some manner of compulsion, which can be super, super simple, like, I don't know, drinking a glass of water, to really, really aggressive, such as breaking their own fingers, which I think that was the guy in episode 1. And I was like, oh my God, I would hate that power so much. But so contractors have those abilities. There are other types of superhumans in this. Like there's a subset called dolls, and it's my understanding that dolls don't have the same kind of power as contractors. They usually have a little bit of like more espionage type powers where they can watch you through different things like water and glass and stuff.
Yeah, that's all dolls.
Yeah. So and it is said that contractors have no emotions, that they're 100% strictly logical. And our story follows members of an organization known as the Syndicate. And they're basically, it almost feels like they're secret agents taking on jobs that deal with contractors and contractor-related things. How to put this? It's a very noir, very sci-fi heavy story, and it's really, really cool. So yeah, throwing it back to you, Sacro.
Yeah, so Darker Than Black is essentially, yeah, like you said, a noir story, kind of set in modern day 2007. They saw flip phones there, and
yeah, I know, right?
So there's an event that happens that brings these two gates together. That event is never explained in the entire series because it just doesn't need to be. You don't need to know why this happens exactly. It just does. There are a few inklings here about like things that happened around it that people think about, but yeah, there's not really an explanation specifically. But when this happened, it created both dolls and contractors, as you said. And then it led to a bunch of mini wars, the Heaven's Gate Wars that took place near Heaven's Gate in South America, which is mostly in Brazil. So we're right.
Mostly in Brazil. Yay.
Yeah, I had to look it up, but it says it's mostly in Brazil. And it was mostly fought with members from Great Britain and Argentina. So
right, and something that I noticed like pretty early on is it feels like almost like whenever somebody comes out as a contractor, they're absorbed into some kind of like organization.
They are. I think they're scouted, but I'm not sure how that works exactly. But a lot of big organizations like the FBI, CIA, MI6, new ones they make up, all want these contractors because they have no emotions. They don't mind doing the dirty work of killing people.
Right.
So but the thing is about the contractors and not having emotions is it's not exactly true.
I've noticed.
Every person holds on to a piece of their humanity from when they were human, it feels like. Something they were connected to. They still hold on to that. And in some cases, not all, this affects their price, which we haven't talked about yet either, I don't think. No, we did a little bit. Yeah, you did mention it.
Yeah, we mentioned the price a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so the first episode kind of goes into like prices and how that works. So essentially when you become a contractor, you also have a price, and in order to use your power, you have to use your price. It's a deliberate interpretation of power and price concepts.
What you have all this power, but at what cost?
Yeah. And
yeah, which the guy that smokes cigarettes, I was like, well, lung cancer, I guess, like eventually.
Yeah, it's not worse than the girl who killed her own daughter with cigarettes, and now she has to eat them.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, yes, yeah. Yes. I don't remember how her daughter died, but it had something to do with cigarettes. Maybe she smoked around her too much.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll find her in a second. Well,
I remember which lady you're talking about. She was the heavyset lady.
She was an opera singer.
Yeah, she was an opera singer.
She works for Russian intelligence, it says.
Right.
Let's see.
And we're already
little girl
getting
died as a
dark
result of-
without even fully going there.
I'm skipping ahead quite a bit too. But she ended up, her daughter died because she took some tobacco from the table and stuffed it in her mouth, and she choked on it.
Oh, gross.
So
like,
she died.
Chewing tobacco?
It just says tobacco. It doesn't say what kind of tobacco.
Well, I imagine that if you ate like chewing tobacco, you could choke on it. Plus, I imagine that if you swallow it, it's toxic.
Yeah, it doesn't say when she became a contractor either, but sometime after this event. And so she feels like she's haunted by her past, where she... Yeah, there's just... This story goes into a lot. So the story is actually told in parts. So each episode has a two-parter. Or each story element is a two-parter. In the first season, we meet Hay, who's our main character. He's the main character of the entire series, but he's like the main guy in seasons 1 and 2, or episode 1 and 2. But he goes under a different name, which is Li Shengshun, a Chinese exchange student who's going to school in Japan. But he's actually like this contract killer.
It's something that I really, really enjoyed about Darker Than Black is that it takes place in Japan, but it feels like this is like a worldwide thing because, you know, like you mentioned, we have people from the FBI, from MI6 everywhere, you know, and the gates aren't just in Japan, you know, like some animes are like, oh, big important thing happened, but it only happened in Japan, whereas this was like, oh no, there's one in South America. So I was like, okay, like there we go.
Yeah, I don't know why they chose specifically South America. I think they wanted a jungle theme for like the war going on there. That's why they chose South America.
Makes sense. Okay.
And so Hay got his start there, actually. He fought there with his sister, Bai. Hay and Bai. And I don't want to get into that part yet. We'll come to that later. But essentially, he earned a name there and became known as the Black Reaper.
The Black Reaper.
Because he was so efficient at killing people, which is the exact opposite of who he is as a person. Because he was actually a kind older brother taking care of his little sister because their parents, something happened with their parents, never says. And then he only joins on and agrees to kill people because she has to, because she's a contractor.
You know,
so
for the longest
in a way,
time,
he was like a doll for his sister.
Kind of, but dolls don't always work with contractors.
Right.
But
the thing that got me is that, you know, like for the longest time, and if it hadn't been from the fact that we see Hay use his powers right from the jump in episode 1, I would have thought that he was just pretending to be a contractor because he always seemed to be too emotional, too kind. You know what I mean? Yeah, and like all of that, contrary to like everything that you've heard about like contractors up to this point. So I'm like, he doesn't seem like he's detached from the killing that he does. It feels like he's quite the opposite, in fact. So like for the longest time, I thought to myself, the electricity is coming from that knife he uses or from like the wires that are attached to the knives. I'm like, there's no way that he himself is a contractor.
Yeah. The first episode kind of sets up too, where he meets a girl that he's supposed to track as part of the syndicate mission because she has knowledge about something. I can't remember the top of my head for some reason.
Actually, that escapes me too. I remember that she had knowledge of something, but like I don't remember
so there are multiple groups looking for her, and he finds her, and he basically becomes her friend through his Lee persona, because he keeps just popping up whenever she needs him, and I guess she doesn't find that weird. But by the end of the episode, you find out that she's a doll.
Ooh.
Right.
The real version of her is dead already.
Yeah, she had already died. They had just like implanted her memories into the doll.
As a way of, I can't remember what the reason was for like who they're trying to pull out. Were they trying to pull Hay out? I can't remember what the exact reason why they made her into a doll, like what it was supposed to be. But she ends up actually, even as a doll, retaining some of the memories of the girl she was supposed to be, and she ends up she kills herself basically, saving Hay. Because even though Hay knew already that she was a doll, he still was willing to protect her.
Right.
And and then Hay, that's when you kind of find out that like Hay is a contractor, but he's also clearly an emotional and empathetic person.
Which contradicts it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a
Which
huge
contradicts it.
contradiction. Yeah, but it's kind of a foreshadowing because I mean, we'll get into the end of the series stuff later when we go into real spoilers. But I do want to talk about what I thought about the show before I just talk about the entire show. So
Go for it.
I watched the show when I was 19, fresh out of high school. Just got back into anime because I was dating a girl in high school who hated anime, so like I couldn't watch it around her or anything. So I just ended up not watching it because I spent a lot of time with her. So I just never got back. I never really watched anime. I watched it when I was in middle school, high school, stopped watching it. Watched it again once I entered my first year of college. And this was the first show that I ended up accidentally finding on Funimation while I was scrolling through there after I watched K-On! So what a jump, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, dude, nothing alike.
This show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and K-On! Were hugely influential on how I became a person in my early 20s. Which is very weird to pick these three specific stories because I didn't watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer growing up because my mom hated the melodramatic parts of it later on, so she didn't watch it. So I had no one else who watched it around me.
This is gonna get clipped right here, like, you know, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, K-On! And Darker Than Black. I'm like, whoa,
With their powers
what a cocktail of a
combined, they
human
created Sabro.
And creepypastas. Those four things were what I kind of discovered around that time period, even though they'd already existed before then, because all these are old.
Mm-hmm.
Buffy was in 97.
Yeah.
Like K-On! Existed 2 years before, 4 years before I even watched it. And then Darker Than Black had been already done years and years and years before.
But now, since you're talking about Buffy, are you Team Spike or Team Angel?
Angel.
Yes.
Nah, I was Team Spike, to be honest, but like that's.
Boo!
I mean, there's a specific point about Spike that made me dislike him. That happened in season 6.
I imagine so. Yeah, but what was I gonna say is like, you know, the thing is. Spanish was my first language, so whenever I first saw Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I thought that it was pronounced like Luffy. It was Boofy the Vampire Slayer.
You know what? I get that, actually.
Right. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, this show was just hugely influential on me as a writer, too, because I started writing again at 18, like full on. Because I wrote in high school a little bit, but took like 2-3 years to focus on my music stuff. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, I want to be a writer again. I just want to write things. I want to make stories.
There's the K-On! Influence again, you know, 'cause, like, music.
Yeah. It's weird because I played guitar for like 6 years before I put it down to write stories because I was always more into storytelling than music. But my dad and my friends were all super into making music, so I learned how to play music with them. I still like guitar, but it's just not the same. It's more of a for fun hobby. I don't write songs anymore.
I'll teach myself how to like play guitar. One day I'll teach myself.
I could show you some basics. I used to teach kids how to play.
Oh,
hey, I have the mentality of a kid. Let's go.
Look at that.
I mean, it just means I know how to teach at the lowest level.
You're teaching Seiko how to
draw,
voice act, and he's going to teach you how to play guitar. Sweet deal right there.
Hey, yeah, like, you know, like it'll be like a wonderful, like,
this
learning
is a trading
circle.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it was very influential on me. I became my favorite anime very quickly. Season 2 didn't ruin it for me initially. I was like, oh, it kind of sucks, but it was, you know, the ending was like incredibly divisive to a lot of people, but I thought it was interesting in a way. And on a rewatch, I was like, actually, this makes perfect sense for the plot they were laying down at the end of season 1 and into Gaiden and the manga, which I don't remember too much about, but it was in there still. And yeah, it just became my favorite. It had good music. I had the ending theme on my playlist for years for season 1. It was just so good.
Nice.
And
it was really good. I will say that.
Hey, it was my first cosplay ever. I don't have the stuff for it. I don't have the pictures either. So sorry. Then Sasuke became my second one.
Ooh.
We all remember our first cosplay. Gamma, what was your first cosplay?
It was one of the guys from... Crap, I even forgot the name of the show. But it's one of the bad guys that is supposedly related to the guy that betrayed Jesus. What was his name again?
Judas?
Yeah, Judas. Oh, they're the Judas guys. And they have like crosses on their foreheads. One of them got 4 crosses.
Judas Priest?
Oh, D. Grayman.
Yep, that one.
The Noah clan.
Exactly, there you go.
I forgot about D. Grayman. I did not like D. Grayman.
When he said the crosses on their forehead, I was like, oh, D. Grayman. D. Grayman was really, really good at first. dude, it got like so dark as it
Oh,
went.
it got
and it's
so
just,
dark on the manga. Oh man.
yeah, no, and I know the manga. So like the thing is, I'm like, I want to keep watching this, man, but like my heart can't take all this suffering.
I
But
didn't like what I watched, actually. I dropped it, sadly.
yeah, so my first cosplay, by the way, was Ichigo Kurosaki. Anyway,
Ooh.
carrying on.
I don't know. Good show. Great stuff. My first ever ship, also. Hey and Yen. Good stuff.
Oh gosh, I can't even see that, because like yin is, like they say that contractors are supposed to be like, purely 100% logical.
Mhm.
I feel like yin is like absolutely devoid of emotions. Like she has them, like I imagine, but like they're really, really muted. You know what I mean?
Well, Yin doesn't or shouldn't. She's a doll. Her entire personality
Right.
got wiped as if you're wiping a hard drive, and then she got reprogrammed with what she knows. The thing is, Yin is not like other dolls. She's special, kind of like Hei is. And that's the reason she was picked to be with Hei, because they wanted to form this it's season 2 stuff. They wanted them to be friends for other reasons, and then she ends up falling for him, which we find out by the end of season 1. But every girl was in love with Yin or Hei, so that's just how it was. He had those
Yeah,
killer collarbones.
I was gonna say, hey is a handsome guy. What can I say?
Yeah, everybody's attracted to him, but he actually has feelings for Yin, which you find out later on in the season between seasons 1 and 2. But I want to hear what you guys think about the show before I get more into like the story stuff.
I actually want to go last. So Gamma, if you want to go next.
I be done schoolboys howling. And
No.
that's one of the intros for Darker Than Black, and that's
howling.
one of the things that I just like listening from time to time. It's pretty cool
Out of
too.
curiosity, who sings that theme song? Do you know?
Abidon Schoolboys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, funny story. My wife has had that song on her playlist, and she's like, "I know this song." And then, my wife's best friend has had it on her playlist for years.
Mhm.
Never seen the anime.
Oh man.
So like I heard she played it in the car when we were driving to the anime convention, and I'm like, "Oh hey, it's blah blah blah." And she's like, "Oh, you know this song?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't know you watched Darker Than Black. She's like, "What's Darker Than Black?" And then I had to explain to her. I had to explain to both of them while we were driving, and they're like, "What? I never even heard of this show." Like, I'm like, "You can't find it anymore. It's gone." Anyways, go back to what you're saying, Gamma.
Carry on, Gamma.
Yeah, the first thing that caught my attention was the song. Then the series being about Hei and Yin. That's just the way that they got that whole thing going on. Even though he's a contractor, but he still seems like he got feelings. And just like Sakura mentioned, things get told later on why. And I don't want to give too many spoilers about the why, because I want Sakura to say the why.
Okay.
Thank you.
He's
Fair.
quite efficient as well whenever he does his jobs. And every contractor that he faces, they sort of got a tragic story up to some point, if I
A
recall.
little bit.
Which
Yeah,
makes you
a
go
little
like,
bit.
okay, if they lost feelings, that's a good thing that they lost those feelings, because that will break them as a human. Especially that lady that you mentioned, that shoots tobacco.
She was going to kill herself before she became a contractor, I'm pretty sure.
Oh man, that's so...
So, yeah, it's really sad.
And it matches the series. Unlike Sakura, where she saw the whole thing, I only seen season 1 and season 2 years ago. I could have gotten a refresher because our friend here, Sakura, he gave us all a link and say, "Hey, watch it." And I'm like, that's gonna be quite a journey.
No, we watched it legally.
Yeah.
It's legally that he has it.
It's legally.
But he gave us a way to watch it legally.
I like sharing.
Yes, and we're grateful for that.
Thank you, Discord.
And if you want to watch Darker Than Black right now, legally, it will cost you 250 buckaroos on Amazon.
Yeah.
For only season 1.
You can buy buy it to stream on YouTube, I'm pretty sure.
No, you can't.
You can't?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nope.
I thought I saw that earlier
you-
while I was looking for
Season 2 was streamable on or buyable on only Amazon a couple years ago. Just season 2, nothing else. And everyone's like, well, I don't want season 2. Like, why would I want to see just season 2? So,
Yeah,
they removed that too. So it's gone
that
now as
doesn't
well.
make any sense. Like here's season 2 of this. Like, it would be like, imagine it, especially because it's so short, right? Like season 1, season 2, you kind of need one to understand the other.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta keep thinking, like, imagine if like Amazon or whatever was just like, you can stream season 9 of Supernatural, but only that one.
I mean, that's what they did with SpongeBob. You can only stream up to a certain season, and then it's like you can't stream the rest of these.
It's different when it's episodic, though. You know what I mean?
It's true, but you want to watch the early seasons anyways.
Right. That had the best humor.
Yeah, so there's actually 26 episodes in the first season. I should mention that, which is different. Or sorry, 25. There's one of them's an OVA that doesn't count. Oops.
Right.
And then there's only 13 episodes in season 2.
So a whopping
is fun.
25 for season 1. That's a good buy if it was $20 and back in the day for just a season 1.
I could have bought it for $20. I feel so bad because I'm like, oh, it's going to stream forever. Don't worry about it. Ha.
It also feels like anime is kind of going down the path where, like, 12 episodes is the norm.
Yeah, that's
I
what
remember
I'm
back
seeing
in the day
lately.
where, like, dude, like for example, it'd be like, oh yeah, man, we're gonna have like 30 episodes this season, or like 45. Like I Digimon was just like, it was like what, 54 episodes. I was like, god damn.
And we were spoiled.
Ghost
back
Game
then.
is 68 episodes, and that was one season. And I was like, darn, that thing is long.
Mm-hmm.
I miss those tapes.
Anyway, continue, Gamma.
Well, that was pretty much it. Like the action is amazing. The action and the choreography is just amazing. How our main protagonist has to think on his shoes of how to kill people, but as Seiko already established, and you established as well, he's a very, very efficient assassin.
Yep.
Correct.
Which,
Okay,
if
so
you
let
think
me-
about him, you could also think of him as Sam Fisher, but with superpowers.
Sam Fisher with superpowers. That's not what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh.
Got y'all
That
off
is,
guard right
that is
there.
a sentence he
You know,
said.
I'll roll with that. Yeah, there's a Reddit for the things that you just said. Today, a brand new sentence has been born. Thank you.
All right,
Alright,
and now I'm
so-
gonna grab this hot potato and toss it at our lovely Bard. Take it from here.
Thank you. All right, so as my dad said whenever he was first going to drop us off at summer camp with the dubious intention of ever picking us up, buckle up, buttercups. Here we go. I'm kidding. My dad's a good man. Anyway, I have thoughts about Darker Than Black, and like as I was watching it, a couple of things just kind of like sprung to mind. I was like, I know this art style. Like the art style to me, I was like, the character design looks very familiar. Secondly, I couldn't place my finger on what it was, but something about this anime just felt like something I had seen before. I was like, I don't know, man. This is like running into a person that you've met before in a dream, or like that or somebody that you were briefly introduced to in the past, and they changed, like they grew a beard or something, and so like now you don't exactly recognize them, but you could swear you've seen them somewhere. And so I as I'm watching it, I was like, man, just the vibes of this show feel like something I've seen before. So I went and I did my research, and it turns out that like a guy who was a storyboarder on Cowboy Bebop and Wolf's Rain, this is his brainchild. And I was like, all of it makes sense because the art style looks very Wolf's Rain to me, and the what do you call it? The action sequences are so very Cowboy Bebop, and the what do you call it? The writing and the noir and everything. I'm like, this is just like a culmination of everything that this guy has done in the past. This is what it feels like. Full disclosure, I wasn't the biggest fan of Cowboy Bebop. And it's for reasons that I feel like carry over into Darker Than Black, and that's that the story is a little difficult to follow. It sometimes feels like it's a very episodic. This is just the monster or the contractor of the week that we're dealing with, and that's really about the extent of it. Like, so there's lore in the world, it feels, but the lore isn't ever like explicitly given. You almost have to kind of like start connecting dots to see if you can kind of like make sense of what's going on. So for example, they kept mentioning, as I've said before, that contractors are logical and non-emotional, and I kept seeing Hey be kind of like emotional at times, and I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so there's a story here, I feel, and it's just not being outright spoken. There's mention of how the stars in the sky aren't really the stars that used to be there before, and I don't know if I missed it, but like at some point while doing research on this, just to kind of like get a better understanding of what the story was about, I come to find out that the stars that we are familiar with when we look up at the sky disappeared the moment that Heaven and Hell's Gate showed up on Earth, and now every star in the sky is represents the life of a contractor, and when they die, their star disappears, which. This was so confusing to me, especially because we have an episode later where they're actually like cataloging stars, so they're keeping track of them. And I kept wondering to myself, I'm like, well, what's the purpose? I don't understand. And so like this is something that like later on, as I was doing research, I was like, oh, I see now. So like it's kind of one of those situations where like you feel like the show has like all of this lore in it. But it's almost like a Souls game. They're not going to hand it to you. You kind of have to like dig a little bit to kind of like get it. That said, I felt like it was a lot easier to follow than Cowboy Bebop. In Cowboy Bebop, all I got was like as a matter of fact, they also had a syndicate. So
it's a really easy word to use.
Yeah.
It sounds
in Cowboy
cool.
Bebop, he used to be a gangster, I guess, and then at some point he had a falling out with his gang buddies, and he went to live with a homie and a spaceship, and now they're bounty hunters, I suppose. And then
a great
eventually,
concept, though.
Yeah. So like this is kind of like the thing that I'm talking about. I'm like, so like I feel like there's story between the lines that doesn't get said, and mind you, sometimes this is beautiful. Because like whenever there's story between the lines but it doesn't get said, you can infer a lot just like from watching the way that the characters behave, watching what they react to, watching how they interact with people and stuff like that. And I felt like in Cowboy Bebop that didn't feel to me like it was there. Or if it was like super subtle, right? And it was just kind of like, I'm not feeling it. But in Darker Than Black, I could feel it a lot. So it was like, okay, so there is a story between the lines, and I feel like if I pay close enough attention, or like if I listen to what's being said and not being said in certain conversations, I feel like I can kind of like piece two and two together and kind of like start figuring out what happened here. One of the things that I hoped would eventually get told to us is like, where did the gates come from? And that just never happened.
It doesn't happen in season 2 either, or any of the excessive materials. But
Fantastic.
It is very important for the reformation of something that I'll talk about later.
Right. So ultimately, it was almost like I'm watching because I want to figure out what's happening. And that's kind of, again, coming back to the beauty of it. Because when you don't give all the details, sometimes you're going to lose some people. But sometimes, as a watcher, you're going to want to know what they're not telling you, and you'll start paying more attention, which is kind of what happened to me. So I was like, okay, I didn't vibe with Cowboy Bebop, but I'm vibing super hard with Darker Than Black because I'm like, I want to know what happened in this world. And you know, because the thing is, it feels very sci-fi, but all of it also feels super metaphysical. So I'm like, it's weirdness happening here, and I need to know why. Additionally, I like how the show is, and this carries over from Cowboy Bebop too. Wolf's Rain almost didn't have this. Almost, I mean, it was a more serious one, but like, Cowboy Bebop and Darker Than Black kind of have like this thing where they're like, one episode we could be super dramatic. The world sucks, life is hard, and people make difficult choices. Sometimes they don't do the right thing. But every now and then, you'll have an episode which is just off the wall, the most insane thing you've ever seen. And I'm like, I love that they can do this, and it doesn't feel like it's in a different universe. Because some anime try to do this where they're like, we're a serious anime, but now we're gonna have a fun episode, and the fun episode feels so disjointed, right? But Darker Than Black never got so out there that it felt like it wasn't something that could feasibly happen.
Did you watch the fan fiction episode?
I don't remember the fan fiction episode. Was that in season 1?
It's the last episode of season 1, technically, but it's an OVA as well. But it's still considered part of the season. It's the girl. Okay, no. She's one of the girls who works at the police department, I think. Mm-hmm. But she's writing a fan fiction about Hay because he saves her one day, and she writes about his collarbones and how he has the most perfect collarbones.
Oh, that explains the joke that you
Yeah, I said earlier about the collarbones. Yeah. It's a very funny episode. Very fun.
Right. And you know, like the episodes that I was thinking about specifically is the detective and his assistant.
Oh, that's a great episode. Or 2 episodes.
Oh yeah, because it's 2 episodes. Because it's like I think he actually comes back for another 2 later. But like
he does, looking for.
This was like the widow who like I don't know. She wanted something from like her husband's ex, but the husband's ex had been dead for 6 months, and she knew. She was just, you know, not like bringing it up or something.
Yeah, her cat went missing, and she said that she stole the cat, but really she just wanted somebody to find the body, and she didn't want to be herself.
And so she hired this detective, and the detective was just like, one of the, like, in a noir setting, he's almost like comedy. He's like so fantastically inept, but at the same time, he's a good detective. He's just like bad at this, right?
He's so bad.
Yeah, so it's just so funny, and the fact that his assistant is just like, it almost feels like she took this job because it was a way to make money so that she could fund her cosplay career.
yeah, it's so funny because cosplaying was super taking off at the time, and she's just the perfect like cosplay character. She's also voiced by Brittany Karbowski, which I don't think either of you guys would know by name, but she's one of my favorite voice actors for a long time. She plays the railgun girl in Railgun.
Mm. Yeah. A certain magical railgun?
Yeah, a certain scientific railgun.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's her spinoff. Scientific. We got to watch that show sometime, too.
Okay.
Sorry, it's one of my favorites.
Continue, want to do 1 season on that?
There's like 15 seasons or whatever, so yeah, just pick one.
I'll do 1 season.
So I'm just kind of like winding up to an end here, but like, yeah, so that's basically my experience with Darker Than Black. I feel like it's solid sci-fi. It's got excellent action. I'm like, and I'm looking at it through a lens of like the early 2000s. I was like, oh man, like back then, this action like set piece would have fucked. I'm like, this is so good.
Though. It was so good.
Right. I'm like, these days I feel like we've advanced to a point where I'm like, action set pieces kind of demand a lot. But I'm like, this right here as a classic still holds up, which says a lot. And so like, and also the music, I'm like, even the music sounds familiar. Come to find out that Yoko Kanno, who did the music for Cowboy Bebop, also did the music for this. So I was like, oh, okay. So like, this is just like the all-star team from different animations that were popular at the time is stepping out to like make their brain babies become a reality, and I'm like, I'm here for it. Also, as it turns out, like in an interview, it was asked of the guy, oh gosh, what is his name again? I just forgot what the author's name was. Hold on just a second.
Tensai Okamura.
Yeah,
Tensai Okamura. They asked him what his inspiration was for Darker Than Black, and he's all like, I like ninja manga, I like superheroes, I like mystery thrillers, and he just did all of them, and I'm like, okay.
Someone asked me things I like. I like everything.
It's wonderful, but like I like the characters too. Like I personally thought that that Hay was really complicated. I felt like he was always saying one thing, but like not really telling you the truth. And as a lead in a noir, I'm like, that's fantastic. I fucking love that. I thought that Yin was like just a really, really cute design for this character. And I fucking love Mao. The fact that he's basically like Tobias from Animorphs. Where it's
He's
like,
a
oh yeah,
cat.
my power allows me to shift bodies. But like, now I'm stuck as a cat. I was like, this is great.
Yeah,
Fucking love
because
this.
his body died.
Because his body died, so he couldn't transfer back. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's gotta
And he
suck.
can't go back into any other humans, so he's stuck as a animal form forever. And he chose a cat because cats are cute, I guess. I don't know why he chose cats, actually.
Yeah, and also, well, the Syndicate also has him on like a thing, right? Where like he can't like his animal brain's always trying to take over.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a
yeah.
cool. That was a cool concept, actually.
It was a cool concept. I actually really liked that. It came in clutch at the end of the series too.
Yeah. What at the end of season 2, he becomes a different animal entirely. I can't remember which one it is.
Mm.
He like transforms into like a bird or something, and then he's like, no, it's this season 2 ending is so dumb in that part. I just remembered, dude. America invades Japan, and like Mao, the girl, the girl detective whose name I can't remember right now because she was so boring.
She was. If she had one good episode,
She had
that's what she.
2 good episodes. It's the same
Yeah, so 2 good episodes. Yes,
with her friend, and yeah,
with her friend. Yes.
and also okay. So this is something that has just boggled my mind since I watched the series. The girl in episode 1 looks the exact same as the girl who runs the doll thing.
Oh no.
Very true.
They're
I
the
actually
exact
didn't put two
same
and two together until
design.
literally just now. Holy cow!
I was rewatching and I'm like, wait, that's the same girl from this first episode. Wait, no, it's not. So I looked it up and like, yeah, they just look the same, but there's no connection between them. They're not sisters, no relation. He just loved the design of the first girl and was like, crap, I killed her. Let's reuse it for this girl, who, by the way, I loved. She was a great character.
Recycle.
Yeah, it was fine for this one case because she was in
Recycling is
2
the
episodes.
Hiromashima method, which like I hate to give him trash because like arguably Rave Master is the reason that I got super into like anime, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Hiromashima, like he's been called out because a lot of his characters just kind of look the same. Usually, like the main girl in like Rave Master, Fairy Tail, Eden Zero,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah,
That
it's just
guy.
Lucy 3 times.
Yeah, and he's just like the way that he said it is like, oh, you got to think of characters like actors. You just put them in different clothes and they're acting in a different way. I'm like, no. I was like, dude, you just told us you can't draw different characters.
Yeah, that's a big thing with in Japan too. There are people who want to make character designs as actors and then reuse those character designs across different anime. Some guy tried to make a character design that everyone loved. It fell through, but he was trying to make that character into an actress. But yeah, everyone wants to
Well,
make their
that's
own
a good
characters.
thing.
Apparently, yeah, it came out in like mid 2000s that was happening.
Okay.
I'll look for the phenomena for you. It's like it was a
It's
fleeting
a
moment,
thing. It's a legit thing.
almost a
Uh,
thing.
I was gonna tell you the detective that you're thinking about was Misaki.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm glad you guys like the series though. That's cool.
No, we did. You were actually in the middle of a thought, and I can't remember what it was.
I was super in the middle of a thought, and I can't remember what it was either. So I'm going to lead with a question that I had prepared for you guys.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay, two questions actually. Not about they're about the show, but they're not. They're about you guys
Okay.
as people.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so first off, what was your favorite contract, like ability, in the show? Besides Hayes, you can't pick Hayes.
Oh, man, you can't
well.
pick Hayes. Come on.
That's quite a handicap right there.
I know, because I'm like, that one was the coolest one.
There's some that I think are super cool.
I will say the guy
I-
that smokes cigarettes.
What was his ability to smoke cigarettes?
Which character are you talking about?
Which character are you
There are
talking
multiple. There's a ton of characters who
think
smoke
the
cigarettes. It's the
detective-
noir anime.
I think it was the detective. He appeared on season 1 though.
Detective.
And
There's no
he always
detective that smokes.
and-
Isn't the?
and he always escaped his grasp too.
I don't know who you're talking about actually. The detective in season 1, the funny detective, is not a
Yeah,
contractor.
Yeah, he didn't have any powers.
Are you thinking of November 11, the guy from? He's the one who appears throughout the entire show until he dies later.
Right. Well, I didn't know he died. Thank you.
He dies later. Yeah. Actually, hold on. Does he die?
Hooray.
No. Yeah, he dies. Yeah. He's the one with smoking powers that you're talking about, by the way.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, his ability is ice creation. He can make ice out of water.
Like
Right?
Sub-Zero.
I think it's his power, right? Hold on, I don't
I
actually remember.
remember that. Like, yeah, I remember him like touching the ground
Yeah.
and it, like icing up or something.
Yeah, and the other girl can make storms or something, or she makes wind and stuff happen. So they're together, they're perfect.
Yeah.
Because she makes water and he freezes water.
Cool and she blows.
She does kind of blow. I just did not care for her as a character.
Yeah, I mean, like
she's fine.
Like, here's the thing: a lot of the characters that, like, you know, weren't like the characters that were auxiliary, kind of like would show up, and you wouldn't get to know them that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if this had been like a longer running series, like 4 or 5 seasons, we probably would have gotten some good character moments with those guys. But MI6, by and large, I'm like, I like the look of April. You know, like, I think November 11 is super cool, but, like, other than that, I'm like, ask me anything about them. I don't know. You know?
Yeah. Okay. So we got one for Gamma. What are you thinking, Bard?
There was a guy, and this is in the episode with the detective and her friend. I think the friend had a butler. If I remember, his name was, like, Way or something. But he, like, could teleport things, like, I guess, like, I remember specifically him teleporting the meat out of a guy's torso at some point.
No, that's not what he's doing. He blows up his own blood on anything it touches.
Oh,
so he cuts himself, throws his blood on people, and then it like explodes or removes all of it. So he puts holes in people and things.
That's some Junji Ito stuff right there.
Yeah.
I was like, that's brutal, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the contractor powers that when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's fucking horrifying. Like, that guy left an impression on me. Like, I remembered that guy, you know?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm trying to remember how November 11 dies. It's on his page. Anyways, okay, those are cool powers. I like this. This guy doesn't even have a name. You know the guy who has like a whip that's invisible that he can cut people in half with in like the first or second episode?
Oh.
Yes.
I like that guy. I don't know what his name is, but he has to flip the corner on every page in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't read the book. He has to fold the corner. He has to bunny ear every page in a book, which is honestly not that bad of a price.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. If you had to
something like just a little bit of a tangent, but do you guys remember like Witch Hunter Robin?
I know the name, but I don't.
Yeah, so this was like man, 2000s anime, probably aired around the same time as Darker Than Black, to be honest. But it was like it ran on like Adult Swim for a while, and it was about witches, right? Like, but it almost like, I swear the vibe is so similar that now I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that this guy also worked on that. But the idea is, you know, like they have an organization that hunts down evil witches. And in the first episode, the dumbest power, this guy basically like sits, he's just sitting on the floor and he's being surrounded by the good guys, and he controls sand sigils on the floor. So whenever somebody steps on it, he can like swipe his hand, and then like now the floor kind of like slips underneath them, so they just fall. And I remember this was such a stupid power that Adult Swim made like a stinger, you know, like how they had like those little stinger cards in between like commercials where they'd be like, yeah. But like the stinger was basically like, hey, what's the worst power you've ever seen in anime? Our pick? The guy from first episode of Witch Hunter Robin, he trips people.
That's a great power, though.
It could be a great power if it's used
annoying
on stairs.
People. Annoying people is so fun. Like, as a power, anyway. I mean, maybe not. But so apparently, he dies in the finale of season 1.
Did I miss that? When did that happen?
It's a scene where he kills the people who he worked for, because they're like, well, we're trying to kill all contractors.
Oh,
and so he ends up killing them, and then he's like, got hurt during it, decides not to follow through with his smoking, and just dies in the streets outside of the building. Which is honestly a pretty meta way to go out.
I didn't remember him dying. How?
It's episode 23 of season 1.
I missed it. Like, I was like, I feel like I saw that, but I'm like, did he die though? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, that's when he dies, apparently. I forgot that too. I just knew he died. I just remember when.
Hooray.
Memory hold.
Yeah. He dies.
Anyway, next question.
And she thinks that Hay killed him. Misaki does. because she sees him looking because he went to go give him a visit or like check on him or something.
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, he's dead." And she's like, "Oh, you killed him." He's like, "Nope, that wasn't me." But I mean, he doesn't tell her that. He just leaves. And then she asks if he's hungry. I don't remember that part either. Sorry, I'm rereading the synopsis. I just watched this, but I don't remember I remember him dying. Anyways, based on your personalities and like, so a lot of the payments seem to be based on some sort of issue they had in their normal lives. So like something that played a role in them somehow in their personalities. What do you guys think? This might be a tough question, but what do you think your guys' payments would be if you had to do something? If you wanted a power, what would your payment be, you think?
Depression.
I don't want to say.
That's not really a payment, Gamma. It's something you have to do in some way to get the powers. So like...
It's an excellent question, but I'm like over here looking at my manga collection. I was like, I don't want to talk about this.
What if? Okay, so yours might be burning a new manga.
It's finally time for you to say, "Hey, I'm a furry." It's okay.
You have to tell people you're a furry. That's your payment.
Honestly, like here's the thing. I have like these compulsions that I do, like, and like that just occurred to me that it's kind of like a thing that I do to psych myself up. So a lot of the times, you guys remember like the Edward Elric clap that he would do whenever he was about to do alchemy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do that sometimes.
I do that to psych myself up.
Yeah, I do that sometimes too.
Get into this. So I would like do the Edward Elric clap. Sometimes, I mean, like, and this is just me because, you know, like I want, so since we're getting a little personal on this, it is kind of like a thing where I'm like, you know, back in the day, I didn't have as much confidence as I have now, right? And it's kind of like something that you kind of grow into. And some people never grow into it. Like I have relatives who who struggle with the same level of like self-doubt that I struggled with when I was younger. And ultimately I kind of like, it came to a point where I'm like, I don't want to always be doubting myself. So sometimes whenever, like just randomly, you know, like I just have like these words of affirmation that I repeat. And depending on the situation, you know, but like, I don't know, like sometimes I'll be driving and I'll be like, I want to be a good person.
Hold on.
I want to be a good person.
No.
Like,
You're going to a territory that I'm going to say, and you're going to go like, darn, Gamma caught on real quick. You made us watch Kaguya-sama Love is War, and there's a character that needs to be reaffirmed that she's a good person and that she's doing great. Is that you right there?
Yes.
I'm Eno? No, because I don't let others reaffirm me. I do it to myself, you know? So, like, I'm constantly like, you know what? You are trying. And
so
like,
you record yourself saying that and listen to it.
I want to be a good person, or like, you know what, the one that's most common, like, because, you know, like, since I'm constantly, like, I feel like I'm always taking on so much, the most common one is never surrender. Like, that one just kind of, like, comes out, you know, like, so it started as kind of like an affirmation thing to get myself in the mindset of, like, let's do the thing. But now it's just almost like a compulsion. It just happens when I'm sitting by myself. So, yeah.
Hey, man, that means, what is it? Affirmation therapy works?
Yeah, it's cognitive restructuring is what
therapist
called it, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, if it's a therapist that did it, then...
No, he didn't do it. I did it, and then later on, you know, like, it a little bit of a personal story, but a friend of mine died, and I took it really hard, so I went to therapy for it. And I explained to him how I tried to get through difficult times, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's cognitive restructuring. Like, did you read that in a book? And I was like, no. And he's like, well, that's what you're doing. And I was like, okay.
Oh, that's useful. I'd never really... I should probably do that, honestly. I told the Navy I needed a therapist, and they're like, okay, cool. And they sent me in once, and I said, okay, I want to come in monthly, and then they never booked me again.
Oh,
so they're like, you know what? He came in once, and he was okay, right? And so they just never sent me back. Like, bro, I got things to work on. Let me go back. It's free.
Yeah,
I paid for this with my blood.
That's the thing with the military. They
like literally with your blood. Holy
blood,
cow.
sweat, and tears, bro. Put me back in.
When I was being
I'm not done yet, coach.
when I was doing my stuff to get out of the military, they sent me for the mental check. You know how they do the whole therapy thing. And they tell me, oh, yeah, you came out good. Then they gave me the paperwork for the outside, the paperwork whenever you're out. And I'm like, okay, they told me I'm good. And I go through it, and it says I got depression. And I'm like, this mofos didn't tell me I got this? And they just sent me out afterwards? That's messed up.
So that probably depends on what you got it, or what they classified it under. Because if they classify it under disorder from military, which they should have if you were in the military when they classified you, you should go to the VA with that, actually. That's a lot of money. Depression, 60%.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like that to me, that sounds like you got depression. Like 95% of other Americans. Good luck with that.
The military's got the highest levels of depression and what happens from depression.
Like, of course.
I mean, come on, man. How can you not? Like, there's so much that happened in the military that just can ruin you. I was deployed during Christmas. I had like all sorts of crap happen. Like, there's just so much you can do in the military that we're getting off topic. Anyways,
we are.
Gamma, you should definitely talk to VA representatives. You can get anything if you work hard enough for it.
So with Bard, we have to be careful whenever we hear him hyping himself up, because we know he's going to be popping out his power soon.
Okay, so affirmation therapy or whatever, like affirmation words is your price. What about you, Gamma?
I will say I will have to draw something. Or actually finish something.
That.
Hey, you know what? Like, yeah.
Wait, that sounds... Yeah. Oh, I actually have to finish something? Oh, no.
Oh, no.
I'm doing stick figures for life.
Yeah, because that's a bad habit of mine. I don't finish stuff. So if the payment is having to finish stuff, I'm going to be like, this power better be worth it if I got to finish.
Sometimes they are and sometimes they're not.
Right.
So, some abilities do not match their prices. Do you guys remember Havoc's price?
Which one? I'm sorry?
Havoc, the girl that Hay takes and semi-tortures.
Yes, the one that he takes back to Hell's Gate, or she wants to go back to Hell's Gate to like get her powers back.
She wants to get her memories back. Do you guys remember her price?
I don't remember her price now.
She had to drink the blood of children.
Oh,
she had to kill them. They had to be dead. Her power was earthquake. She could make seismic earthquakes of any size. But in order to do it, she had to kill children and eat and like drink their blood.
That's
which
dark.
Now you know why she wanted to get rid of her abilities, right? She was like ready to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And that's and like Hay in the beginning, because he's looking for his sister, was like super ready to throw her and get her powers back. She can get her memory back. But then he's like, I can't do this to you. I can't. Like you're a person. You're trying to be a person. You're not trying to be a contract anymore. You can get rid of your contract powers by just not doing your contract.
So they get their emotions back by not using them.
They do, and they lose their powers too. Oh. But hers left for unknown reasons. Like literally, they were just gone. She wasn't even repressing them. They just went away one day, along with her memories. And she was happy they were gone.
I kept thinking like that. I kept thinking that this is going to come back to like that guy whose daughter awakened as a contractor and she was setting people on fire.
Yeah,
I was like,
Mai
comes back to connect with this somehow. I was like, somehow this is connected.
It is connected at the end when they take her back there, and then you see the flower.
The flower, exactly. Yeah.
It's all connected because it's one season, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I loved Mai. She was such a good character. Like, I love the big brother, little sister thing. He was like taking care of her and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
she had with the Hay. Yeah.
And then she ends up turning into a regular contractor. Actually, she didn't go to full on genocidal contractor.
Yeah, and they took her into the syndicate, I think.
I thought she showed up later and gets killed, but apparently that was somebody that looked just like her because this guy apparently uses similar character design. Because there's somebody
actor characters.
He does, yeah. There's because there's a character that shows up later that gets killed during Hayes when he's infiltrating the Heaven's Gate thing at the end because they're trying to kill all contractors, I believe. It's been a while.
Every time we say Heaven's Gate, like all I can think about is the cult.
Yeah, I did a video on them, but it's a cool name. Okay, so those are your guys' contract. I didn't think about it for myself, so we're good with that one for now.
I kind of like to think of like I do this out loud all the time, Gamma. Like, how have you never noticed? Like,
Because I
just
got so
remember
used
like, every
to
time that
talking
we're-
with you that it became the normal.
I guess so,
the new
because
norm.
I was like my affirmation things, I do them all the time and like out loud. Like I remember like every time that
When
we're like
you-
playing games, I'd be like, I can
Yeah,
do this,
yeah.
I can do this, we got this,
As
you
a
know, like,
matter-
and I'll say it.
As a matter of fact, whenever you say that, hey, I gotta. Do you guys remember Full Metal Alchemist that he got a clap in order for me to get hyped?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, so that's why you clap every time that we gotta record, so you gotta get hyped.
No.
Well, no, that's our time syncing.
Yeah, that's our
but,
time
like, you know what?
syncing.
Yeah.
It works here too.
Which is why it's important that I can hear your clap, because otherwise I have to go looking for where you started. That's a nightmare.
But I don't
My clap
clap.
always peaks on microphone.
You don't clap?
No, I just let you.
My man,
That's-
no wonder I can never find it. I was looking up.
The clap is so we can match up our audios. Is that right?
Yeah, so that you can match up the audio.
I literally go like, okay, I gotta cut this amount of time, and this is gonna be in sync with Bart right here from now on.
No.
That explains
Well,
everything, because I'm always like, I don't know, like if he's just got like a filter on, but I can never hear the clap, never. Now it makes sense. I was so confused.
Gamma, you ratted yourself out. How could you?
So, with those questions, do you guys have any like standout characters or anything that like you?
Wait, hold on.
We want to know yours.
Contract ability would
Oh,
be.
and my contract would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
see.
what's your price? What's your power? Tell us.
It's got to be something deeply like it's got to be at least somewhat related to your past, your personal, or something.
Mhm.
Let's see, something I hate that could be done repeatedly.
Eating avocados.
I love
Oh,
avocado.
I dislike avocado, so we got that in common.
I like avocados okay. You know, like sometimes their flavor could be a little overpowering. So depending on the dish, it's like this takes me out of the other flavors.
Mhm.
But yeah,
So I have a deep fear of small spaces, like worse than normal people who have claustrophobia.
Oh,
okay. So small spaces
So
makes sense. I thought you were gonna say small animals.
so
Small
no
animals. No, I have
elevators.
I can go in elevators for the most part as long as I don't get stuck.
Oh,
Okay.
But I was walking around the anime convention and there were so many people there. I was packed in. I could not escape, and I was almost having a mini heart attack.
oh no.
So like yeah, it's not the amount of people. It's the fact that I literally could not go anywhere because there were so many people crammed in there. We could not go left or right. But
You heard it here, folks. Next time we attend Podcast Con, give Sacro some space. What are you doing?
next time
Mhm.
we gotta put this on Twitch.
Next
We got
time,
TwitchCon.
which would also be the first time.
Hey, I invited you guys to my convention where we can hold a booth, basically. Not a booth. We can actually do our own panel. They have panel slots open for
Yeah.
people who are small content creators.
Let's do it.
The next one's in January.
I'm in.
So let me know. I can actually book us a spot, but I do have to pay like $100 for the room.
Oh,
Yeah, you get like an hour and a half, and then you show people show up. So, you know.
Okay. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I could talk to my wife. Like, hey, you want to go to California for like a weekend? Let's go.
Yeah, it'd be fun. But yeah, so I think like having to put myself in a small space of some kind for an extended period of time would be like my price. It'd be aggravated. It would be something I didn't like, and logically, why would I do this? Because there's no reason to. The same reason I didn't go on subs when they put me in the Navy.
What would you?
but how would you pull that off in a fight?
Buy a porta potty?
In a fight, you wouldn't. Usually, you don't use your thing in a fight.
Yeah, you use you pay your price after it's over. So
Yeah. So I'd probably have to have a box with me at all times that I'd have to get inside of. It'd have to be big enough for me to sit inside of.
A
have to
locker
close
or
the
maybe
box.
a luggage bag?
Yeah, or maybe whatever.
a luggage bag. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. It'd have to be something.
Carry a
'cause
little
the feeling of
wooden
being
box
trapped
and
is the
be
big
like
one.
the Demon Slayer.
Nezuko? Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought about that too. Someone carry me around, please.
But wait, what power would you choose though? Like out of all the
I'm-
contractors?
Oh, out of all the ones that I already listed the guy with the whip, I think is pretty cool. But if I had to,
Oh yeah. You
if I had
did,
to
you
make
did,
my
you
own
did.
ability, I've been thinking about this for years. Teleportation through fire. So I would
Interesting.
disappear through like a burst of flames. Like it would be
That
like
would be sick as
flames
fuck.
would just disappear. I literally wrote a whole story about this based on this anime. Did I tell you guys I love this show?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you have.
So I used this
Whenever you
show's
said the
idea
teleportation
of the
fire,
price.
I thought like, oh, that sounds like something Scorpion will do. Dope.
I was thinking of
It-
Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII.
It's kind of based on Nightcrawler a little bit.
Oh,
okay, so
nice.
not like you can walk into fire and teleport, but
No,
like,
no,
you
I
make,
disappear
like, a
and
burst of
flames-
fire.
flames-
I see.
So the idea is the ability is twofold. It's I can use flames, but I can also disappear through them through teleportation. I wrote a
Okay.
whole story about this, about basically what would happen before this event. It's not this story. I didn't write a fan fiction, but I wrote a story that like the world all of a sudden fell into some sort of chaos and people were given powers. And and then the whole world basically became enslaved to those people's powers.
Nice.
So, and then there was like one person who's like, no, this isn't how it should be. And that was my main character or main syndicate group. Anyways, away from
So,
that for now.
Deku without powers.
Deku? Oh, I mean, Deku, the world of My Hero isn't one I actually love based on the way they superheroes work. I
Yeah,
don't
I
think
didn't like
everyone
how the
being
heroes
super
work
is
either.
good. I'm just not a fan
It's
of
the
it.
syndrome thing from Pixar. When everyone's super, no one is.
It's just like there's not enough normies out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Like I guess normal people are people who have powers
Some
who can't
powers
do
are
a whole
little
lot.
more normie than others, right? Like like there's powers that do literally nothing.
But the normies
Yeah.
feel kind of ostracized on My Hero.
Yeah, that's a plot line later. It's just literally just the reverse X-Men.
Right, it's
Storyline.
reverse X-Men. Yeah.
But it's fine. I heard actually that My Hero's finally over.
Yeah,
Because
it's finally over.
I was on Reddit and I saw a spoiler for all the characters who dies on the front page.
Yep.
Midnight.
And I'm like, how could you
Midnight.
ruin this? Like, I was going to watch it eventually, but it just came out.
The
There's a rule
freaking-
against this.
The freaking girl that everybody's in love with dies, and then there's a little plot twist
Midnight,
with
yeah.
her. Not
Oh,
Midnight.
and it was
the girl.
Not Midnight.
The vampire
Toga.
girl.
Toga.
Yeah, Toga.
She's not a vampire. Well, I guess she's kind of
Yeah.
a vampire.
Then they
Not
tell you
really,
the plot
though.
twist, like, oh, I became a villain because of this, and then you find out, oh, snap! So she actually would have been a great hero. Well,
Dude, like I swear, like My Hero Academia is wonderful in the way that it writes villains. I was like, the heroes I could take or leave, but the villains, it's just fucking masterclass in writing. I'm like, this is good.
do you
I think the
agree with
villains
that
should have
with
been
all
used way
for
more.
one?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, but anyway, that's a whole other story for a different day.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting into some spoilers here for a little bit. So Hay's powers actually come from his sister. Hay
Called it.
is
Yeah.
not a contractor.
Ah,
That was
I
the
knew
biggest
that was
plot
related
twist.
Somehow, I was like, his sister is some kind of Chekhov's gun.
Did you
and
finish
something
the show,
important.
Bard? That's the last episode.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's
That's the last episode of season 1. Uh-huh.
In the OVA?
No, in the actual
Season
show,
one?
it explains that Hay is told by Amber that before she basically stops existing, because of her really cool power, but also kind of
Mhm.
nutty ability, that his sister, before she died, fused her body into his, giving him
Oh, right. Yes. okay.
her powers because she was dying or something happened, and she wanted to be with him always, essentially.
Yeah,
And so
I think
she
that you're
fused
right.
him
She
and
was
gave him his
dying.
powers. But I don't remember exactly why or how Hay doesn't know that. Maybe because she disappeared when he woke up.
or something.
I think he was unconscious or something. I watched this 3-4 months ago when we decided to do this idea.
Yeah.
That's
So,
how long
uh,
we've been waiting for this episode.
Yeah, this episode's been planned for a while. I mean, it's basically Sacro Month. We did Oshinoko earlier, now we're doing Darker Than Black. It's like my top.
Sacro
That's like
month.
top 10 animes.
Sacro month.
Yeah, we're doing your other one next week too. You recommended that we should watch Free Run, and I got Helix to start reading it. So
Oh,
yeah, we
okay.
should be good.
I loved Free Run, but you're the one who got me into
That-
Free Run,
that's-
so yeah, whatever. Sacro Month.
That's a joke. Yeah, Helix hasn't started reading, but how? But, you
Oh,
know, like,
I
how cool
figured.
would it be though?
Getting Helix to read things or watch things is kind of hard.
It's just
sadly.
only
It's
one
a little
season
complicated.
for Free Reign, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one season of Free Run, so I mean, like theoretically, we could just like watch the first season of
think
Free Run.
it's
'cause
pretty long, though.
Good. It's 24 episodes, so
Oh, I thought it was
it's double the
36.
si-
For some
Is
reason.
it 36?
No, I don't think it
Oh,
is. I think it's just me miscounting. Anyways,
24 episodes,
Like-
so it's about the same
So-
length as Darker Than Black.
yeah. No, you're right.
Season 1 is free ran. How many episodes? 28.
Oh, okay. So it was longer than I thought, but it's not as long as I thought.
Yeah, it's longer than I thought too. I forgot about that.
But yeah, so
I-
Amber comes back before we get into like free run stuff. Amber comes back.
Mhm.
She is a girl from Hay's past, which is a constant thing that's happening. Is Hay has a lot of girls in his past and people just in general, but she shows up
Yeah, just
looking
like my
as
Uncle Ernesto.
Like bar sexes.
they always show back up when they don't need to be.
All my exes. And hey, I live in Texas. How about that?
So Amber shows back up to warn Hay about something that's happening as she's turned into. She's basically pretending to be part of the side that's fighting Hay, but she's there to
Mhm.
like actually teach or tell him something because she was in love with Hay, like everybody else is.
Right.
But she's actually like he actually had feelings for her
Hmm.
too. But her ability is that she can turn back time to make changes to like the world and stuff.
Huh.
But whenever she goes back, she ages down
oh, she's
like
that
reverse.
girl. Oh,
Yeah, she's the green-haired girl.
oh,
She
snap.
she shows up and she's like telling this stuff, but she doesn't show up because she's in love with Hay still, but she's also the one who kind of tells him like, "Hey, Yin's your responsibility now. Like you need to take care of her. Even though she's a doll, you can tell she has feelings for you somehow."
Hmm.
Which becomes a big part of season 2, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well, because I don't think you guys are going to watch it. Or, well, I guess Game has already seen it.
Yeah.
I might.
You might? Okay, then maybe I won't talk
Yeah,
about
I
it.
might.
Okay. Watch Gaiden first. It's the in-between. You don't need to read the manga. You should, but you don't need to.
Okay.
Nothing from the manga, except for one character, reappears in season 2.
Okay.
So you don't need to know anything about that character. He's just there. I guess I kind of told you that America invaded, but that's whatever. It doesn't matter. Random detail. So she shows up. She's reversing time. She's trying to get she's trying to let Hay know like this is what happened. And then she tells him that she's the one who tells him about his sister turning giving her powers to him, which is why he has them. I don't know why he never thought about why he had his sister's powers before. I think it's because
that would have been like the dead giveaway to me. I'm like, dude.
it's because he didn't. Okay, I remember now. It's because he used only the electric part of his powers. That's not his power. He's able to change molecules at the smallest level by touching things.
Well,
So
that's
he can
a
change the
broken
molecules
power.
of anything. Yeah, it's super broken, right? And he doesn't use it for anything nefarious because he's actually a good person. Unlike her, who literally vaporized people and she just did all sorts of things. She was the real contractor.
Let's
But the thing
just
is, she was
say
right.
he
She
could
was-
change things to gold very easily.
He turns a nuke off, I think.
Yeah, he did.
That's a good thing to do, I guess.
He also stops the thing that was going to just kill all contractors because he still believes that they're people. They can be saved because he's met a few at that point. And also, it would have killed all dolls, and he doesn't want Yin to die. So, do you guys remember the Yin episode? That was a pretty good episode.
The Yin episode with her mom and
Her music
she was,
teacher?
smooching her piano teacher. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she ran out into the road and then the truck.
Yeah, she got isekai'd. It's
Yeah, she got isekai'd.
quite wild. Yeah. So she was upset about that because her dad had just died and she was already
Right.
moving on.
It
with
was
the piano
actually
teacher.
at his funeral, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which is just, I mean, it's a bad look.
So it never explains how she became a doll. It's never explained how
Right.
any of them become dolls at all. Like it doesn't even say they just did one day. It just says they're dolls. So the fan theory was that hearing her dad die, then her mom died right in front of her, broke something inside of her, which turned her into a doll. So that would mean that all dolls are heavily broken people that something broke.
Right.
And so she becomes a doll, but she's a different kind of doll for multiple reasons. But that's all in season 2, and I don't want to spoil it now because Bart says he's going to watch it.
Yay.
Which sucks. I really want to talk about the ending and what I thought it meant and what it could mean for the future, but it doesn't because there's no future.
See what you did, Bart? No spoilers.
We're doing a new thing now, right? Like we're doing the thing where we vote if we revisit a title. Because there are titles that I noticed, and this was on me for because initially I was like, yeah, we're just gonna read it a little bit at a time, and that actually proves to be a lot more difficult than initially we thought. So now it's just kind of like we read a whole thing and then we discuss it at length, right?
That's we should definitely, if we're gonna do this, pick something and do it a fraction at a time, because I'm not talking about any of the good episodes or any of the main characters or getting really into like the meat of it.
Right. And so like the idea is, going forward, we'll like cover like a little bit and then we vote after we've read that, and then like we'll talk about this once the recording's on.
So before we so at the end, like this is when you find out that Yin actually has emotions, because I can't remember what happens, but like Hay's falling through and he's like basically giving up. He's going to die. And he's like falling deeper into despair. And it's shown physically through him falling into a hole. And then you look at the top and you see Yin's frame. It's Yin's silhouette. And she's calling for him with her, her monotone voice. Like, hey. And then she says, and then her voice takes on emotion. It's just, hey, don't leave me alone. I can't be alone. And he pulls himself back up and he like goes back to save her and move on. And then, so it's like a big moment where you're kind of figuring out, wait, he's a contractor who's doesn't follow the rules exactly. Most of the contractors don't follow the rules. This is for a reason that is kind of important. But Yin specifically is a doll that's not like other dolls as well. Mm-hmm. She hides something inside of her that you see a little bit of at the end of season 1 as well, with how her spirit form, I don't know what that spirit thing's called, changes. It's slowly taking on a different form. Again, season 2. And then you're like, okay, well, so Hay got his sister's powers, and that's probably why he's still human and contractor. But it was always supposed to be that way. He was always supposed to get her powers because he needs to, for him to save all contractors.
Right.
Because she couldn't do it. Logically, it makes no sense. It makes sense for her to save herself, but that's it. So she probably wouldn't do it. She wouldn't trust herself to do it. She knew Hay would save them all. I don't know how she knows about it. I'm pretty sure Amber must come from the future and like, hey, though, we should probably figure this out before we all die.
Right.
Also,
I mean, that would make sense to me.
Yeah, that's my thought at this point. But she also kills her. She dies. She wipes herself from existence by going back in time one last time, and and she's gone.
Yeah.
And then it's just Hay and Yin.
I have to say that is like one of the most interesting. I don't know, like the most interesting power dynamics is, like every time you use it, you either age or you age backwards, right? This is actually a type of situation that I've seen a couple of times. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, this was in Doctor Who, kind of, where, this would have been the 10th Doctor, where he meets River Song and she knows everything about him. But, she keeps kind of like showing up as he time travels, and it turns out that their timelines are heading in opposite directions. So every time he sees her, she I don't know, it's backwards. So like they one of them knows the other one more the more they see each other, and one of them knows the other one less the more they see each other, because they're traveling in opposite directions in their own timelines.
Yeah. I've never seen Doctor Who, actually.
What?
I've never seen any Doctor Who.
Same.
It's
I know what it is. I just never seen it.
I could do like 900 episodes on Doctor Who, bro. Like it is sci-fi of the thickest variety. But
it's the British One Piece.
It is the British One Piece, yes. Which I was kind of wondering the other day. I was like, well, what is like the American equivalent of One Piece? And like all I could think about was The Simpsons, but like even that feels kind of wrong.
Also, The Simpsons is finally ending.
It is?
Is it?
Yeah, the final season's either next year or the end of this year.
I didn't know that.
Oh, so all the stuff that they predict is not going to be seen anymore.
Yeah, I was like, who's going to tell us the future?
Yeah, what is going to
But
tell us the future? Oh.
the other one was, I think, is in Invincible. There's a character who, gosh, it's basically like an incredible Hulk situation. But every time she hulks out, when she comes out of it, she's aged down.
We're talking
I
about
think I know that character.
the series Invincible that is on Amazon, or
Yeah.
another one.
In the comics.
Okay, yeah, that's
So the same
that's
one
his
on
wife.
Amazon.
Yeah,
His wife, when she's broken like that.
right. But anyway, like, so I just think it's an
Atomic
interesting
Eve or whatever?
dynamic. Like, hey, every time you use your power, you're gonna be a younger version of yourself, or you're gonna be older.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like that. That's actually pretty dope to me.
I mean, the thing is about her power too is she doesn't have to use it. She can age back up and then use it again.
Yep.
She can live forever
Yep.
That's dope as hell.
as long as she doesn't
I want
die.
that.
So.
Can I change my power choice? That one sounds cool. I like that.
Yeah. You can go back in time, but then you lose like 2 years off. I don't know how she does it though. I don't know how it works. So again, like anything else, not explained.
Right.
She used it a lot to save Hay back in the day though, because there's like an ambush that happens that would have killed him, and she goes back in time to save him a few times, and then gives him the intel that would let him know.
Yeah, but let's think about it this way. She goes back in time and she loses years, and she gets younger as she goes back in time. That means
Yeah, but then
that
she goes
her
back to the present
parents-
still.
That means that her parents conceive her at different timelines for that to keep happening.
So I think she goes back into time to a point, and then she teleports back to the modern time. So she can go back 2 years, change something, and then she goes back to her time frame
And
younger.
then she just like snaps back. Yeah, it's not like, traveling and you stay there. It's like bungee jumping almost. You come back to the point where you started.
Yeah, so she went back and she tried to make a timeline where her and Hay were in love and not fighting a war, but it just couldn't work. So she had to go back in time again to change that because it ended up with him dying. Because a lot of things she tries to do ends up with him dying.
Oh boy.
She's not allowed to mess with the timeline a lot.
This is the What If episode of Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Or Supernatural.
Oh, yeah. I
Her
remember
Dean
that.
dies a
That
bunch.
was one of my favorite episodes.
That was such a
ever.
good episode until it got really sad.
Until it got really sad, which was weird.
Uh,
But what was I gonna say is, like, as a matter of this is just a tangent again, but like, Gamma, you want to know what one of my favorite time travel users in the history of manga is?
Go for it.
You've read it's the girl from Chain Soldier. Like, she did, because the thing is, this is
Okay,
written
you're
so
calling Shane
comically.
Solder, and I'm gonna go like, oh,
we're talking
that
about Shane Soldier
one, the
again?
one that I don't like the American name. Yeah, she's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
he doesn't like the American name. But anyway, the point is, she's just written really hilariously because, firstly, she's super over the top. And her power basically is like, hey, in order to travel in time, you have to strike a pose where your arms are like the arms on a clock.
Oh, yeah, the
and
sister.
You're setting the sister, and you're setting the time, and it's like, it's so funny. But the thing is, also, she's like very, very good at using the power.
Mhm.
So sometimes they don't even tell you that she's doing it. Like, as you're reading the chapter, it'll just be like a bad guy's like taking a shot, and then like somehow like somebody trips.
By the way,
and
viewers,
the bad
this
guy
is
would
a
be like,
slight spoiler of Shane Solder in
Yeah.
case you haven't seen it.
And then, the bad guy would be like, hey, that was supposed to be a kill shot. The person was standing there a second ago. Where'd
Yeah.
they go? And then you'll move to a different chapter where now it's from her point of view,
Mhm.
and you're seeing her fuck with time
Yeah.
to kind of like save everyone. I'm like, this is hilarious. I love this.
And the only one that I
but-
think that got the hint is the sister, because she knows her so well, too.
Right. But anyway, that neither here nor there. But
So do you guys?
Yes.
So final thoughts about Darker Than Black? What are we feeling?
I'm feeling good about it, man. Like, I actually would be 100% down to like revisit it on a season 2 episode.
Okay.
Because I'm invested, and the problem is, I know that there's going to be no answers for a lot of things, because like the author just kind of like decided to end it at a place, and I know that it's kind of like it is an ending, but it's also not.
It
so that
literally changes the entire world. The ending does.
right. And so I would love it if we had like a very satisfying conclusion to it. And I feel like this conclusion, it's probably not going to be the most satisfying, but it's going to be okay. You know, so I'm like, I'm 100% down to visit it again, to discuss season 2. And I just want to like just reiterate, I'm like, this is, to me, it's almost like a redemption of like all of the shows that this person worked on that I didn't vibe with, because I feel like this show did it better. Which boggles my mind that this show like didn't get any reception. Almost, it feels like it just kind of like fell through the cracks.
It got like a lot of high reviews, a lot of watch, and then it disappeared.
Yeah, and that's insane to me because it's so good.
Like if you ask like Seiyu, he probably never seen or heard of it because it didn't exist by the time he was old enough to have watched anime.
True.
Yeah, so like, well, we'll have to ask, but like
2012 is when it disappeared off of, or 2013 or 14 is when it disappeared off of streaming services.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it around. You know, like as a matter of fact, like Hayes Mask, it was like
it's
everywhere. Yeah. Like early 2000s, like, you know, like whenever you went to anime conventions, you'd see at least like 2 or 3 people with a mask.
Yeah, there's even a YouTuber named Hero Hey that wears the mask.
Oh yeah, there is. I'm pretty sure, blame it on Jorge's icon was Hey as well before he changed it. Something about Mexican people or Hispanic and loving Darker Than Black. It's just a trend. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty good series.
Hispanic people just generally like anime a lot. I've noticed.
True.
And you know, if you need proof, all 3 of us are Hispanic. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
If you need proof, don't go to Mexico bad mouthing Dragon Ball Z, or else you're gonna.
Oh no! Like me and my sister have this joke that Mexican people love Dragon Ball Z more than Japan does.
They do.
It's true, but Japan also loves Dragon Ball Z. Every time a new one comes out, it knocks everything else off the charts for a little bit.
It does. One of the things that I love seeing is just like, you know, like, oh, these are murals in like Mexico, and you always see like anime characters. Like recently, I saw a Frieren mural.
Dude, there is so much Saint Seiya there too.
Saint Seiya, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
the
dude,
Caballeros del
Zodiaco. The first
Zodiaco.
anime I watched. It was insane.
Saint Seiya's good.
I don't even remember what it's about. I remember that all of them had like zodiac powers, but that's really about all I remember.
Yeah.
They're the
There's
dopest
an
power.
episode where he had like blood in his eyes and he was trying to like make the sign of the Pegasus. And
the training for Saint Zodiac is so extreme though that people die just to gain their
it's very
power.
dark. I was really upset when they made a remake of it and they made it a weird 3D. Like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of like, it's a thing that's happening a lot. And I don't know, like sometimes it looks fine. Like Chainsaw Man uses some of that and Chainsaw Man looks great.
Have you guys seen the dub of Saint Seiya? The American dub?
No.
The dub's fine, but the song...
Spanish.
The song is so good.
Oh, is it like the flock of seagulls?
It's flock of seagulls, yeah. I ran away. Or I ran. It's like, I ran.
Like
ran
they
so
did it
far
they played it on Toonami a little bit, and I remember like it was like flock of seagulls, and I ran, and I was like, really? Like, what's happening?
I remember watching it and being like, because I didn't know what the song was. My mom was walking in, she's like, why is there an 80s song playing with this anime? And I'm like, this is an 80s song? Mom, this song's great. What do you mean?
Is that
like, the 80s was great. I'm like, uh-huh.
The 80s was pretty great, I'm not gonna lie.
I wasn't there. So it couldn't have been that good.
What was I gonna say? Ha! That's great. But Gamma, final thoughts on Darker Than Black?
I loved it. It's like I mentioned to Sakura, I've seen it before, the whole thing. And this is just
you probably watched it before
pretty much memory from what I'm talking about.
It feels very 2010, man, and I like that just brought back memories for me. Like just watching it, I was like, this
some
is my
things
childhood.
from back then, I don't think that they'll be able to fly nowadays.
There's like some stuff where they didn't do that I expected them to. Like there's some like almost nudity, which nowadays they would just show it because anime doesn't care anymore. Mm-hmm. But back then they're like, ooh, almost naked. That's cool, right? Like, because they're trying to be edgy.
Those are my favorite parts.
Yeah, that checks out, actually. So, yeah, I mean, if you can get a hold of a copy, if you can find it online, I highly recommend watching it. It's still my favorite. Season 2 is you can watch it or not. It doesn't really matter all that much. But Season 2 does not give you answers that you want. So maybe not. it actually leaves you with way more questions, and you're like, why? And then you're like, okay, sure.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Bar. Since Sacred's putting it this way, do you feel that Darker Than Black will be like Blue Exorcist season 1?
No, like what does that mean? Like nothing.
Like
is
the
as bad as
writing
Blue
is
Exorcist season
completely,
one.
like the writing went completely off the rails. The story didn't make sense at the end of season 1 of Blue Exorcist.
No,
until
no,
they
no,
fixed
by no
it.
means. Like it was very coherent. The thing is, like it's just a little difficult to follow because they're not telling you the answers. You have to kind of like pay real close attention and read between the lines. So
do you not like stories that kind of relay their world and stuff through visuals rather than like spoken narrative?
No, I 100% do. Like, so, like, and you guys are going to disagree with me, but One Piece does this all the time.
I've never seen One Piece. Well, I did watch the first, second, third. I watched up to like episode 80 something.
Right. So, like, the thing about One Piece is that, like, things that showed up early on, like, later on get a lot more meaning, and suddenly the world feels much more rich, and the lore feels much more vibrant in history and stuff like that. So, there's that. So I do enjoy it because it'll be like, oh, well, that explains what was happening here, this and that. But there's a difference in One Piece where it's a very loud show, and Darker Than Black where it's more pensive. So like it's like you're gonna find the answers and you're gonna see them, but it's almost like you want them to you want something to confirm that what you're thinking is correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, one of these is written for like young adults and adults. Like
right.
One Piece is definitely geared more towards teens and young. Like
yeah, it is.
So there's a different. There's definitely a difference, but like
it is a difference of the what's it called, the target demographic. I agree.
Yeah, I don't think you get stories about a girl killing her dad after turning into a monster.
Right, or like the lady who
smokes cigarettes
and drinks children's blood.
Yeah, that girl. The edgy era was here.
It is, and it is definitely 2010s, like super edge, right? But like, it is really good, and I personally would also recommend it. With the idea in mind that this is a title that you're gonna have. It's not something that you can just play in the background and hope to kind of like understand. This is a you have to sit and pay attention thing.
Yeah, it demands more attention from you, which might be a little harder.
Attention.
That might be hard now because attention spans have gotten slightly shorter, scientifically speaking.
Yeah, which is so sad because like this kind of masterpiece, dude. I'm like, this deserves recognition, and it's ridiculous.
It's probably just because it's so hard to find now too.
Also, yes,
I know a guy. It's called eBay.
Yeah, eBay.
And it's going to cost you $250.
Well, I was going to say, like, so, firstly, you need to know 4 guys specifically. You need to know your homie eBay, 2 guys named Benjamin Franklin, and another guy called Ulysses S. Grant before you can watch this anime.
Yeah. There's also a website that hosts the show in English because obviously it's gone now. And they know about it and they're not going to take it down. It's just there. So that's also available. I don't remember what the website's called.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
Do your research, kids. Any final thoughts, anyone?
Good show. Good, yeah. Season 2 still good. I take it back. I actually like season 2. Yin, best girl.
Righto. So, I like Chiaki from episode 1 because mm-hmm. Yeah, dog.
I was there during that message.
So, with that being said, that is it for today's episode, Darker Than Black. Be on the lookout. We will probably revisit this in the future to discuss season 2. Upcoming episodes. Honestly, we have a whole spreadsheet now, and we better like get down to like hammering out the details because this is going to require some talk. Anyway, until next time, I have been the Midnight Bard. These have been the boys.
Later.
Adios.